Hi everybody, welcome back to Bobby's Bees, and it is hot. It's been 90 all week. That's rare for Michigan. We're out in the apiary this week pulling honey, and we're pulling our honey excluders. We're gonna put fresh frames without the queen excluder. We're gonna let them start working up for the next couple months. We're gonna let them start working up and filling these frames back out with brood and honey and get ready for overwintering. This is a 9-frame spacer tool. And the only bad part about the plastic ones is they get a little warped. But they still work. I guess it's not the end of the world. But they sell different kinds. But this is what you use to space. Instead of using 10 frames, you space out your frames, and the bees will draw out the comb a little bit more. You'll get more honey. Now, sometimes you'll get bridged comb too. That's the only problem. But I guess that you give up for what you get, because you also get a little bit more honey. So today we're going to pull the honey, and there's different ways that you can get the bees off the frame. You can give the frames a firm shake. Just hold them, pull a couple frames out of the way so you don't hit the bees. But you can also use a soft horsehair brush. But probably the easiest way that you don't tick off any bees is just use a leaf blower. That's what we use. I put a little battery on it so it doesn't weigh that much, and I'll just give the bees a blast of air, and then I'll put the frames into a nuc with the screened, the entrance is screened over. They can't get in. So when we go inside to harvest the honey, oh, so hot. When we go inside to harvest the honey, we don't have bees in the house. You know, when you get into bees, I don't recommend you run out and get a honey extractor. You know, for the first year or two, I think we just crushed and strained it through a honey strainer, you know, into a big tub. That's a really easy way. I'll leave a link to a strainer. There's some good extractors out there, and I'll leave a link to our 2-frame extractor. It's a hand cranker, but it's pretty inexpensive, and it works great. You know, we're just about to the point where we may need to buy a new extractor, because we're just getting to the point where we have too much honey to extract with just that 2-framer. So we'll spend the next couple weeks going through the apiary and pulling all the honey. Hives that are honeybound is when the queen doesn't have any room to lay. And that's a situation where you have to pull some honey. Also, if we see any queen cells, we're gonna crush them. We don't want them to swarm this late in the season. So we're just gonna remove them. Okay, gang. So we want to remove swarm cells. Now this top chamber should be drawn out honey. Should be ready to go. Any frame that we pull, we're going to replace. We're going to replace with the frame, okay? Look at how well they drew this out. Oh no, I'm tearing comb up. Oh, what a shame. Well, that will go right back in the hive. Look at that. Now this time of year, you don't really want to leave a hive open for too long. So we're going to move quick. So that looks pretty darn good. A little bit more smoke. We want capped honey, but then we can always pull this honey and we can test the moisture just to make sure that we're not eating any fermented honey, okay? Look at that beautiful honey. So I mean, they've been working so hard, they are ready. So let me show you a really simple way to get these bees off. If the bees are eating into honey like this, you can touch them right on the butt. They're not going to sting. You can get them walking like this. They have a telescoping stinger. You need to get them out too, or they're not coming out. I mean, that when they're eating honey, it's almost like they're anchored in there. Okay, so how much are these frames? How much are we harvesting? Well, each one of those frames are on average just about 2.5 quarts. 2 quarts and about a pint. You know, this is probably going to be, you know, about 4 or 5 gallons. So, probably closer to 4 gallons. Yep. So this hive did really well. And, you know, I wouldn't recommend trying to do this with a first-year hive. These are overwintered hives. They really had the numbers and they were a good hive. For the first year, you just let your bees, you know, overwinter and build up. And then the following year, that's when you really... All done. Yeah, they're really chowing down. Okay, so far we got, looks like 2 gallons of honey, roughly. Okay, what are we doing? What are we doing? Come on, bee. Ooh. Okay. Okay, so we're filled up with these frames. Oh. Okay, more bees. It's pretty tight. It gets pretty tight when... Oh man. Okay. Jeez. Now this feels like it weighs about 50 pounds. This was just some frames that were out because we already harvested some honey. So this will be able to help the bees overwinter. They're going to be able to fill this back up. Plus we're going to start feeding after we get done harvesting honey. We're going to start feeding the bees. So they'll be able to have a lot of sugar syrup to fill out their hives. And I probably shouldn't be smacking. I'm going to have a lot of ticked off bees running out. Got some frozen bees. Huh. I guess the bees can tear this apart and rebuild it. So, but drawn out comb is going to speed things up, going to make a big difference. They don't have to spend all that time and energy on drawing out comb. Okay, so I'm going to get this to lift up. Okay. Put my bees. You're in the way. Oh yeah, these need to be smoked. Really got to remember to work slowly. And that's the best way, you know, sometimes there's two things that precision and confidence. Precise, slow, calculated movements. Even when I'm lifting this, and we're done. These bees are buttoned back up and they are going to overwinter just fine. And they don't need the vent box anymore because there's no excluder. They don't have to worry about overheating. Here we go.